Martin Mashari, many thanks for choosing EBN TV. We keep you up to speed with what's happening, or rather with what has been happening across the 47 counties. And on the dailies today, Douglas Kanja defied court orders from appearing to court and failed to appear to court. Also tonight, in our bulletin, Mpox vaccine, the Mpox virus has seen has impacted 12 counties across the Kenya. Today, let's take a look on what has been making headlines today. An Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja failed to appear in court, ordered to explain the whereabouts of 6 missing youths, an action that could lead to contempt charges. Kanja was required to attend a hearing before High Court Judge Alexander Mutetu after an application by the Law Society of Kenya requested the police chief to provide information on the youths who have been missing over a week. The case involves mysterious disappearances of the 6 young people believed to have been abducted by individuals suspected to be the police officers in Embu. Gerald Mwangi, the father of one of the missing youth, Billy Mwangi, attended the hearing hoping to gain information about his son's whereabouts. Billy was reportedly abducted by men thought to be officers of the law, sparking outrage and concern among the public. The hearing has been rescheduled for next Wednesday, with expectations that the police chief will be compelled to provide answers regarding the youth's disappearances.
Na ilikuwa siku hii Inspector Generali wa Kenya aweze kuwatoa watoto 6 wa taifa hili, na kati ya wale kuna kijana anaitwa Billy Mwangi kutoka Embu. Mzazi wake amesafiri asubuhi kuja hadi hapa kotini aone mtoto wake, na imepatikana mtoto hayuko, na Inspector General vile vile hajatii amri ya mahakama kuja hapa. Na hii si mara ya kwanza Inspector General kukosa kutii amri ya mahakama. Nakumbuka ile kesi ya Masengeli juzi, vijana waliopotea kule Kitengela, lakini ilikuwa hadi mahakama ikatoa amri awekwe ndani ndio wale vijana 3 walioshikwa kule Kitengela wakaonekana. So leo kama mwakili wa familia hizi tumeuliza mahakama lazima Inspector General aje mwenyewe, na kabla hajakuja hapa hakikishe wale vijana 6 wote wako hapa. Amepewa muda hadi tarehe 8 kufanya hivyo, na tunataka tuseme ya kwamba sio tu Inspector General ambaye Wakenya walitaka waone akishughulikia swala hili. Swala hili laenda hadi kwa rais mwenyewe. Amekuwa kule Homa Bay kwa michezo ya Governor Wanga, na akaahidi wa Kenya ya kwanza kwamba atasitisha mambo ya utekaji nyara. Pili, akasema atahakikisha kwamba hao vijana waliotekwa nyara wote wataachiliwa.
Kwa hivyo tarehe 8 tutakuwa kwa mahakama, lakini kabla hiyo tumeona vile baba yake kijana Billy Mwangi alikuwa na uchungu kabisa, kusema alikuwa akitarajia kwamba akifika kwa mahakama atapata mtoto wake. Bado tunaamini kwamba bwana Kanja, unajua yeye ni Inspector General, na tunajua pengine kuna jama ya kumuondoa yeye mwenyewe, na pengine ajui angewashika hawa kinaamini hawa, because they are all subject to him. Awambie leteni hawa vijana, my position on the line, sitaenda peke yangu, waleteni hawa, kwa sababu anawajua abductors, anawajua. Kama ambavyo nimesema, rais mwenyewe alisema tutawacha na kufanya abduction, kusema yeye mwenyewe amekubali kwamba serikali ndiyo inahusika na mambo haya ya kunyakua vijana kiholela kinyume na sheria. Kwa hivyo kando na hawa 6.
Right, moving on, former Deputy President Gachagua has called for the resignation of Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja, accusing him of being responsible for the ongoing abductions in Kenya. Speaking at the burial service of 4 young people who died in the fire incident at their home in Koingo Village, Maragua constituency, Gachagua held the police chief accountable for the continued disappearances of youth, stating that the buck stops with him. Gachagua criticized the National Police Service for failing to protect Kenyan citizens as many parents continue to mourn the abduction of their children. He expressed frustrations that despite widespread public outcry, the police force has failed to act, leaving families without answers. He urged that if Kanja could not fulfill his duty to protecting Kenyans and their property, he should step down immediately. The former deputy president also condemned the actions of the police and special units who have reportedly been detaining government critics in Communicado, calling for their unconditional release.
Mimi nafurahi sana kufika hapa. Naona polisi wamejaa hapa na ni mzuri. Kama wamekuja kuweka amani. Inspector wa polisi anachukua tear gas, anapatia askari mwingine yako na nguo ya raia, anatupia sisi. Na ni polisi. Wale wanatakiwa kuweka amani ndio wenye kuvunja nini? Na siku hiyo hiyo huyo mtu alishikwa na raia. Kwanza akanyoroshwa vizuri sana. Sasa nimeona Inspector General Police ameitwa pale kotini aende aeleze, amekataa kufika. Na hata akifika anasema hajui ati si polisi wanafanya hii kazi. Sisi nauliza kama wewe hujui na ndio Inspector General Police who is supposed to protect the lives of the people of Kenya, then you have no business being in office. Si ndio? Kama bwana Kaja unasema polisi are not the ones doing the abductions, and you don't seem to know who is doing it, and you are not able to stop it, you have no business being the Inspector General of Police. Police are the ones who are unleashing violence to innocent people.
Moving on to matters health, the Ministry of Health has issued a fresh warning to Kenyans about the new wave of mpox infections that is spreading at an alarming rate across the country. Public Health and Professional Standards PS Mary Muthoni has expressed concerns that the country is now at a higher risk than ever before, with 12 counties placed on high alert due to the rapid rise in cases. Speaking in Kisumu during a tour to assess regional preparedness, PS Muthoni emphasized the need for heightened vigilance, particularly at the county's border and key towns. She highlighted the increased risk among truck drivers who are more susceptible to the disease due to their frequent travel patterns. According to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Health, Kenya has reported a total of 31 mpox cases. Of these, 28 have recovered, 1 person has died, and 2 are currently hospitalized. Despite the high recovery rate, there are concerns about the virus potentially mutating, which could result in varying symptoms among different individuals. The 12 counties under serious alert include Nakuru, Mombasa, Nairobi, Bungoma, Taita Taveta, Kajiado, Busia, Makueni, Kericho, Kilifi, Kiambu, and Uasin Gishu County. PS Muthoni also raised alarms over sexual activities, noting that mpox is sexually transmitted, and urged caution to avoid further infections.
Have seen a spike in counties like Nakuru County. Remember, Nakuru County is like the middle of the long tracks where they stop, they have to spend over. Mombasa, we have 8 cases. Nairobi, we have 2 cases. Kajiado, we have 2 cases. Bungoma, we have 2 cases. Taita Taveta, 1. Busia, 1. Makueni, 1. Kericho, 1. Kilifi, 1. Kiambu, 1. And Uasin Gishu, 1. If you look at all those counties, actually are counties that are either cities or along the highway. And that tells you how mpox is being spread. Contact with one another, maybe during sexual activities, or exchange of clothes, because if you contact somebody who has a case, really and has been confirmed, then you're bound to also get mpox. Have seen a spike in counties like Nakuru County. Remember, Nakuru County is like the middle of the long tracks where they stop, they have to spend over. Mombasa, we have 8 cases. Nairobi, we have 2 cases. Kajiado, we have 2 cases. Bungoma, we have 2 cases. Taita Taveta, 1. Busia, 1. Makueni, 1. Kericho, 1. Kilifi, 1. Kiambu, 1. And Uasin Gishu, 1. If you look at all those counties, actually are counties that are either cities or along the highway. And that tells you how mpox is being spread. Contact with one another, maybe during sexual activities, or exchange of clothes, because if you you contact somebody who has a case, who is a case really and has been confirmed, then you're bound to also get mpox.
Moving on, 13 activists arrested on charges of holding an unlawful assembly during an anti-abduction protest in Mombasa Central Business District were released on bail after appearing before Mombasa courts. The activists, who were detained for protesting against abductions, faced a charge of holding an unlawful assembly before senior resident magistrate Rita Orara. They pleaded not guilty to the charge. Their lawyer Yusuf Abubakar requested the court to release the activists on bail, arguing that they were not a flight risk and were known for advocating for the rule of law. Abubakar emphasized that the individuals were peaceful activists who believed in legal rights. In response, Magistrate Orara granted the activists a cash bail of 5,000 Kenya shillings each, with a one surety required for each individual. The case was adjourned with the next mention scheduled for February 12th next year.
Each accused released on a cash bail of 5,000 shillings and one contact person. One contact person and cash bail of 5,000 shillings.
Moving on, a former Bahati member of Parliament Kimani Ngunjiri has accused President William Ruto's government of being behind the recent wave of abductions targeting Kenyan youth, particularly social media influencers. Speaking in Bahati, Nakuru, Ngunjiri condemned the government's actions, claiming that the abducted youth were simply expressing their criticism of the government and its policies. The former legislator called for the immediate release of the youth, stressing that their only offense was speaking out against the current administration. He pointed out that the youth had been voicing concerns about the country's economic challenges, which Ngunjiri believe have worsened under the Kenya Kwanza administration. Additionally, Ngunjiri condemned the recent attack during a Thanksgiving function in Nyandarua, which was attended by former Deputy President Gachagua. The incident involved the hurling of a tear gas canister near the VIP podium where Gachagua was present. Ngunjiri stated that while Gachagua was impeached, he still deserved protection as a citizen, emphasizing that violence in any form should be condemned.
Mi naomba tuna katiba yetu. Katiba ambayo imetukubalia freedom of speech, it is there. Freedom of media, it is there. Sasa munapiga media, munaumiza wengine, GNC munawapiga. Can we change tafadhali this year? And I'm urging the president. Mambo kwanza hii ya adoption, it is not one of the best, because inaonekana wazi president, na ukisikia mtu akikwambia kama sisi ya miaka tunaye, there's no way the government can say serikali iseme haijui mambo ya adoption. There is no way. Hii mambo yote inabebeshwa mzigo yako ukiwa rais. Why? Do I explain you in just simple way? Wale vijana wana challenge wewe kwa mambo ya Twitter na Facebook, hawa ndio wanakuwa adopted. So automatic, it is showing it is the government. Kwa sababu it is not adopting anybody on the road. Na nikukumbusha your excellency na Kenyans, tuna katiba yetu. Na rais ukumbuke mzuri sana, unaweka nguvu nyingi sana kwa IT ministry. Yaani hiyo technology iweze kusaidia watoto wetu kazi. Na mpaka ina ministry, unaweka PS, unaweka kila mtu. Nao tukiwafunza warudi watumie hiyo teknolojia wanatumia ya kuzungumuza mambo ambayo yanazungumuza. We should be patient with these children.
Moving on, the Commission on Revenue Allocation, CRA, has announced a new framework for the distribution of funds to the 47 counties in Kenya for the fourth phase of the county revenue allocation. During a press briefing held earlier today, the CRA outlined the new system and strategies that will guide the allocation process, ensuring transparency and fairness. This move comes amid persistent calls from the governors across the country who have been urging the government to expedite the allocation of county funds. Governors have expressed concerns over delays in the release of funds, which they claim have hindered the efficient delivery of services within their counties.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this historic moment for the Third Commission on Revenue Allocation. This moment truly historic not only for the Commission, but also for our beloved country. In line with the Commission's principal mandate, we have today submitted the recommendation on the fourth basis for revenue sharing among county governments to the Senate, the National Assembly, the National Executive, the county assemblies, and the county executives in line with the provisions of Article 216, Sub-Article 5. In determining the fourth basis of revenue sharing, the Commission has taken into consideration information on the review of the previous revenue sharing basis, views of stakeholders, international best practices, and the criteria in Article 203, Sub-Article 1 into account. In developing the fourth basis framework, the Commission shifted from the functional approach of the third basis to the use of expenditure proxies. The shift was informed by actual expenditures of county governments, availability, credibility, and statistical soundness of data, and the need to ensure that the revenue sharing among county governments remains stable and predictable in the medium term. The framework for sharing revenue among the county governments is based on two objectives: to share revenues equitably and to facilitate service delivery and to address economic disparities and promote development among county governments. To facilitate service delivery, the recommendation provides for an equal minimum allocation across all counties, using population and geographical size of a county as the key transfer parameters. To address economic disparities and promote development, the framework uses income distance and poverty parameters as measures of inequality among county governments. The weights assigned to each of the parameters in the revenue sharing framework are based on the objectives of fiscal transfers and the desire to ensure revenue sharing remains stable and predictable. The summary of the framework for the fourth basis recommendation for revenue sharing among county governments is presented below.
Right, moving on, thousands of containers and vehicles containing essential goods for South Sudan are stuck at the port of Mombasa and various custom-bonded warehouses due to a dispute between traders and South Sudan Revenue Authority over the payment of duties. Traders have protested a directive from the SSRA that mandates payments of custom duties in US dollars instead of the South Sudanese pound. This payment method, traders argue, is inflating the cost of doing business and has led to widespread congestion at the port. Roy Mwandi, chairman of the Kenya International Freight and Warehousing Association, stated that basic commodities including food, pharmaceuticals and other goods have been delayed at the port since November 20th. The backlog has grown as traders refuse to comply with the new payment system, insisting on paying duties in their national currency. At the South Sudanese pound and at the Nimul border, the dispute, however, have also led to increased storage charges with clearing and forwarding agents facing heavily demurrage costs due to the delay in cargo movement. The Kenya Revenue Authority has reportedly issued invoices for customs warehouses rents and other charges from both government and private agencies due to the backlog.
So as we sit here, goods that were cleared from November are still stuck in Mombasa. And it is actually building congestion at the port of Mombasa. And very soon, the CFSs that have been nominated to handle South Sudanese cargo will not be able to handle anymore because they are full to capacity. Cargo is not moving. We have trucks that were loaded in November, still stuck waiting for payment of taxes. We sit here as Kenyan clearing agents to say we are not able to accommodate the ripple effect of the stalemate in South Sudan. Cargo clearance involves releasing of the documents with the shipping line. That means paying a container deposit to the shipping line in lieu of them releasing your consignment through a delivery order. Again, a custom agent lodges a transit entry and secures a bond to enable transiting of the cargo through the Kenyan territory. The EAC regulation on bond is that a bond is supposed to be cancelled within 30 days. Failure to cancel bond within 30 days attracts what the law says 3% penalty to bond. Goods that were entered early November, there are 30 days. The 3 days given by law have expired.
We have a grace period of 30 days. Those days have expired. We are liable to being fined and penalized by the Kenya Revenue Authority for not cancelling the bonds that had covered for these goods. Secondly, the shipping lines also have the free period within which you are supposed to have delivered the cargo and returned the empty. Those days have expired. And this is where we as the releasing agents, the customs agents who secure the release of these containers from the shipping line are suffering. Because each container we are paying $2,000 for 20 feet, $2,000, $4,000 or $5,000 per 40 feet. So when the time has expired to return the container, you begin to pay these demurrage charges. And our statement here is to inform the importers and the government in Southern Sudan that the agents in Mombasa will also begin to demand for payment of the demurrage in advance.
In a move to protect the interests of traditional maize farmers, the Kenyan government, through the National Biosafety Authority (NBA), has introduced a new set of guidelines for the planting of genetically modified maize. This initiative aims to regulate the cultivation of maize developed using biotechnology while ensuring a balanced approach between GMO farmers and those who prefer conventional farming methods. Speaking at a public consultation meeting in Uasin Gishu County, Nehemiah Ngetich, the acting CEO of NBA, explained that the guidelines will promote better understanding of GMO technology and help farmers to make informed decisions. He emphasized that the guidelines would foster cooperation between farmers adopting GMO technology and those sticking to traditional agricultural methods. Take a look.
Nimefurahi sana kwa ajili ya mkutano ya GMO, PT maize, and ningependa kushukuru serikali. Siku yenye tutakubali mambo ya PT maize, tutakuwa na maendeleo. Jambo la kwanza, PT maize inasaidia sana maneno ya resistance kwa magonjwa, inasaidia resistance kwa mambo mengi. So siku yenye wakulima wetu watajua manufaa ya PT maize, kwa kweli nchi yetu itapona.
I'm confused because maybe somebody has interest somewhere. Simply because mtu anakuja kueleza iko hivi, GMO sikatai. Lakini let the real professionals wakuja watuelimishe. Kama ni daktari akuja aseme okay, this GMO iko namna hii. Kama ni neema waseme iko namna hii.
There are a lot of misinformation that GMO causes cancer, and for us as a regulator, we are there to ensure that the GMO process that is being done by our Kenyan scientists is a good research process where up to now we have not found any evidence that GMO is linked to cancer. And as a scientist and as a regulator is that we base our decision on the facts. Yes. And also there's a misinformation that anything big is GMO, or the big mango is GMO. There's a lot of misinformation out there that the broiler chicken is a GMO. All those, they are not GMOs. They are just a product of other biotechnology techniques. There's misinformation that the tissue culture is a GMO. No. So GMO is just a part of the biotechnology techniques.
Moving on, parents and students affected by the controversial Finland-Canada program in Uasin Gishu County are urging the judiciary to expedite the ongoing court proceedings and ensure refunds for payments made 3 years ago. The victims, who were promised opportunities for their children to study abroad, are calling on Chief Justice Martha Koome to intervene and speed up the legal process. Speaking at a press briefing in Eldoret, the parents and students shared their frustrations over the prolonged wait of justice. Many of them had taken out loans to finance their children's travel and education abroad, only to be left devastated by what they claim was a fraudulent program. The financial strain has become unbearable for many families, with some parents reportedly falling ill due to the emotional and financial toll of being deceived. The parents and students are now appealing to the court to hold the individuals responsible for the fraud accountable and return the money that was taken under false promises. With mounting debt and no solutions in sight, they are hoping for a swift action from the judiciary to bring closure to this ordeal.
Watoto nalipia pesa kwenda Finland na Canada, watoto kwenda. Watoto natangatanga hapa town, hakuna chochote. Wakati ulilipa pesa ni Mandako alikuwa kapana. Alafu Chelili makakuja kuwa kapana. Na pesa bado kurutisia wasasi. Sinataka pesa yetu.
Tutaamini nani jameni? Kama serikali yenyewe wanakula watu yake, ni kama anakula watoto yake. Hiyo ni shida gani hiyo? Hata mimi nasikia, wacha mimi kabisa,
Kesi yetu imedelay katika kotini. Na imedrag for 3 years. Na kuna sheria ambayo tuko nje tunajua kwamba baada ya muda fulani inakuwa redundant. Ni kama wanataka viongozi wale wako ndani wanataka kutumia hii wazo ili ifika hapo ipotee. Na hao wazazi wapotee, hao watoto kweli wapotee. Jameni, watoto wetu wapotee. Tunaomba rais wa koti ambaye ni Martha Koome, tafadhali saidia sisi zaidi hapa Uasin Gishu. Kwa sababu ile shida tuko nayo hapa Uasin Gishu, kesi hata kabla haijakatwa tayari wamefanya appeal. Wanafanya appeal kama kesi tayari haijakatika. Jameni, maskini hoye atapata lini justice?
Moving on, Turkana South Member of Parliament John Namoit Ariko has been granted bail by an Eldoret court after spending the weekend in custody. Ariko, along with 8 others, faced charges in connection with the alleged assault of Turkana Governor Jeremiah Lomurukai's son. Ariko was arrested on the night of Thursday, December 26th in Eldoret and was later released to present himself in court on Friday. The suspects were initially ordered by Senior Resident Magistrate Cherono Kese to remain in custody until Monday, December 30th, when the court was set to rule on their bail applications. On Monday, Magistrate Kese granted the suspects release on a cash bail of 150,000 Kenya shillings each, on an alternative surety of 3,000 Kenya shillings. The case will continue as the investigation into the assault charges progresses.
Count 7, uttering a false document contrary to section 353 of the, as read with 349 of the Penal Code. The court notes that the accused persons pleaded not guilty to their respective counts. The court has considered the provisions of Article 49, Subarticle 1H, Article 50, Subarticle 2.
It is very unfortunate that someone, be it a governor or anyone, can use the judicial system to frustrate innocent Kenyans. Because what has happened, what has transpired for the last 2 weeks is really unfortunate, and I'm very happy to report that with the guidance of the senior counsel who is here with us, this will be the end of politically instigated cases in our courts of law.
On account of the very lengthy delaying tactics by the prosecution, the court decided that it would give a ruling today, causing the Honorable Dr. John Ariko and the 7 others to spend their weekend in custody. The court has today granted them each bond of 300,000 with an alternative cash bail of 150,000 each. While we think that that's a bit high, given the nature of the charges, the charge of assault, for example, and some sort of what they're calling general conspiracy, we have nevertheless accepted it, because the process of trying to challenge it or not if while they're still in custody, would be unfair to them. And so we are processing it, and we believe they should be out shortly.
This case, there is no case, as council has put, it's baseless, but we will make sure as leadership of Turkana that whoever was involved in overturning and twisting this case to look like the victim is prosecuted, we will put it to the authorities, both authorities in the judicial system and anywhere that we will step in.
All right, let's get sports now. And the last FC and Golden FC emerged victorious in the 14th edition of the Chris Ogoso football tournament held in Vihiga County. In a thrilling men's final, the last FC defeated Red Bees 4-2 on penalties after a goalless draw in regular time, earning them a cash prize of 300,000 Kenya shillings. Golden FC claimed the women's title with a 2-1 victory over Nice FC, taking home 200,000 Kenya shillings in prize money. At the tournament, which brought together teams from across the region, was praised by providing a positive outlet for youth. Deputy Inspector of Police Gilbert Masengeli congratulated the participants, emphasizing the role of sports in steering young people away from criminal activities. Stakeholders also applauded the event, noting its potential to empower youth and promote community engagement.
Nimesimua kila mtu, tumeshukuru pia mwenye alitoa tournament. Hizi vijana wamekuja na exposure. Imekuwa holiday, hakuna penye anaweza keep busy, umeona penye crowd iko, kila mtu anapenda mpira.
Okay, finally imekuwa fiti, imekuwa game intense, of which tukikuja game tulijua tutakutana na team tough. So tulifokusia hii game, tukasema tunataka ushindi. Ushindi ni kitu kingine muhimu sana.
Hili kombe limechezwa kwa hali ya uzdadi kabisa, na ukweli wa mambo hawa vijana wana talenti. They are very well talented and they are very good in football playing. Likewise to the lady team was very good.
Madhumuni yetu ni yale tu, kwamba usalama utimizwe, vipaji mashinani iwepo, na ni kutoa hongera tu. Yamefanikishwa kwa sababu ya mdhamini wetu Betika. Amefanya kazi nzuri, naona yuko kwa wingi ili kuonyesha watu kwamba yeye didi kukaa Nairobi pia mashinani yupo na anakuja kusaidia kukuza vipaji mashinani.
Brandon Mweresa. Goal!
Right, and that wraps up our final bulletin of 2024. It's been an eventful year, and we thank you for your continued support and viewership throughout. As we say goodbye to 2024, we look forward to bringing you more of the stories that matters to you in the year ahead. From all of us from EBN TV, we wish you a happy new year filled with health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay safe, and we will see you in 2025. My name is Martin Mashara signing out. Do have yourself a lovely night, and let's meet again when God says we do.